Hello everyone, we'll just give it another minute or so, let everyone join, and then we'll get started. I think we'll get started just with the quick intro and let people still join. So thank you for joining us on today's webinar on DocuWare and VertoSuite. So if you can just give a quick show of hands or message in the chat if you can't hear us or you can't see the PowerPoint screen that's currently on, just let us know and we'll get that sorted for you. So for today's webinar, I'll quickly introduce and hand over to Jade Clapham, who's the Operations Manager at Anota. She'll be presenting DocuWare and VertoSuite to you today. So over to you, Jade.
Thank you very much, Kelly. So thank you for joining, everybody. I'm Jade Clapham. I'm the Ops Manager at Anota. I've worked here for about 3.5 years now, delivering AP automation projects and a few other kind of projects for DocuWare and VertoSuite, but predominantly working with SYSPRO integration. So I'll just tab on to our next slide. So a little bit about Anota. So you'll see here on the slide in front of me that we've got 2 badges. We've got DocuWare Customer Service Champion, which kind of is what it says on the tin. We have kind of the last few years we've won the Customer Service Champion for DocuWare, which means that out of all of the DocuWare resellers globally, we're recognised for being very, very good with our customer service and our help desk. And we've got very, very high ratings for our current customer base. And then we've also got Diamond Club member, which you'll see just to the right of that. So that's because our customer retentions are really, really high. And again, the feedback from our customers is really, really high. And so DocuWare have given us these 2 badges to recognise that. So who are we? Who are Anota? So we are a document management solution reseller. So we resell DocuWare. But we primarily focus in accounts payable automation. So we use DocuWare and another tool called Verto, and we integrate with SYSPRO to kind of help with AP automation and automatic 3-way matching. And today we'll be showing you a live demonstration of that. But yeah, who are we as a company? So we were founded in 2011, based in Hull. We've got our own in-house development team who support the configurations and the integrations that we offer with SYSPRO. And you can see on the right-hand side, we've got a range of different customers, and there's just a few examples there on the right. So who are DocuWare? So I mentioned that we resell DocuWare. DocuWare is the document management solution that we use for our systems. So there's a little bit of information on this slide about DocuWare, founded in 1988. And you can see a range of their customers down here on the bottom left. So Haribo, IKEA, some really, really big household names that are using DocuWare, not just for accounts payable, but also just as a document management solution. And we'll be getting into that later on in the webinar. So I'm going to break out now into a live demonstration. I won't talk too much about what we do and what it looks like. I'm just going to I'm going to go and show you exactly what it is that we do with SYSPRO. So I'm just going to come out of this PowerPoint and I'm going to go into our SYSPRO screen. So first things first on this demonstration, I'm just going to show you the 2 different suppliers that I'm going to be posting invoices for. So we've got supplier, VertoSuite demo. You can see at the bottom here, there's currently no invoices stored against this supplier. And then our other supplier that I'm going to be storing invoices for is the Anerta demo. And again, you can see that there's no invoices currently stored in SYSPRO. So how are we going to get those invoices in SYSPRO in a very, very quick and efficient way, whilst ensuring that a three-way match has been carried out and any approvals that need to be done are done? So I'm going to show you. So if I now come out of my SYSPRO screen, I've got two DocuWare accounts open. I'm logged in as an accounts demo, you can see here, and an approver demo. So I'm going to open up our accounts user, and you'll see this is the first screen you see when you log into DocuWare. So we're logged in as the accounts demo. So to get invoices into the system, you can either simply drag and drop them into the document tray like this. Just close that down. So just drag and drop. I'll just grab the other document and drag and drop, and that will just pull into the document tray. Alternatively, we can actually create a configuration so that it automatically monitors your accounts mailbox and automatically pulls in attachments from emails with invoices attached, so we can automatically have them pull in so that you're not having to kind of manually drag and drop like I just did then. So once the documents are in the document tray on the left, you can double click on them and you can see a preview of the document on the right hand side. So we've got our two documents here. You'll also see that the documents have been given different colours. So these documents have been given a yellow ribbon, as you can see here in the top corner. And this represents how sure the intelligent indexing is. So I'm going to show you what I mean by intelligent indexing now. So if we hit Store, you can see that on the left-hand side, all of the relevant fields that are needed for SYSPRO have automatically been filled out. And when you click into the fields, you can actually see on the document on the right-hand side where it's getting this data from off of the document. So as I click into net, we can see it's highlighting the net and VAT. So this is intelligent indexing. This is the system. It's reading the invoices automatically and automatically populating that data on the left-hand side, which makes the storage of invoices and the capturing of that data really, really quick and efficient for your ERP teams. We can also see that it's captured the line item data on the bottom. So I'm just going to hit Store on that one. I'm happy with all of the data it's collected. So now for this invoice, I'm actually going to show you how we train the system to do that. How do we train it to pick up that data? So again, we can see it's picked up the supplier name, the date, invoice number, and so on. So I'm going to actually show you how we train the system to do this. So I'm going to clear out the line items table at the bottom and remove all of that data. And I'm just going to show you how we populate this and train the intelligent indexing. So all you do is you click into the field you want to fill and you select the stock code. I'm just highlighting it in exactly the same way you would in Word if you wanted to copy a piece of text, and I'm just selecting it. And by doing this, I'm actually training the system on where to get the data from off of the document, and then the system will remember this, and the next time it sees this document, it will know where to get all of this data from so that you don't have to manually key in data anymore. Now, I've done that top line. Now, let's imagine this document had 20 lines on it. We wouldn't want to go through each of those 20 lines and click into each box and highlight. So we've got this autofill table. And if we click that, it automatically fills out the second line and any other lines below it. So if this document had 20 lines, it would automatically fill all of those lines on the left-hand side. Again, just speeding things up so that you're not having to manually input and key in data. So I'm now going to store that. So that's it. That's our two example invoices. They're now stored in DocuWare and they're going to be processed by the system. So we can see at the top, I've got two notifications on lists, and the documents have gone into a list called awaiting Verto checks. So what this means is the two invoices are being literally, as we speak now, they're being scanned by Verto, which is a tool that sits in between this system and SYSPRO, and it's doing all of your cross-referencing automatically. So it's pulling back the relevant supplier code for the supplier name. You can see that it's already done it for that invoice there. it's checking, does this invoice have a matching purchase order, and do the values on each line match up? If they do, that's great. If not, what are the discrepancies? It's checking, is there a GRN? It's doing a range of different maths checks. So does the net plus the VAT equal the total? So it does all of these checks automatically for you, and then it will route through to the relevant people or the relevant steps depending on the outcome of those checks. So we can see that one of them has gone through the checks. It looks like that's moved to the pending approval, and it's just going to pick up this one, and that should get picked up any second now. So I'm just going to look at our pending approval. So if I double click on that, so this invoice, we can see on the document status that a variance has been found. So what this means is when Verto's done its automatic checks, it's found a purchase order in SYSPRO, but it's identified that there's a discrepancy between the purchase order and the invoice. So it's actually automatically sent this to the relevant approver. Now, we can create approval matrices so that the relevant approver is automatically selected by DocuWare and it's automatically sent to them, which is exactly what's happened here. So the variance has been found and it's automatically gone to an approver, and the accounts team have this really useful list called pending approval. So any documents that have been sent to an approver go to this list. If you want to, you can export this as a CSV file so that you've got a report showing all of your invoices that are pending approval, who they're being pending approval with, and how long they've been there for. So it's a really useful report to have if you're having issues getting invoices approved or there's a bit of a delay on that. So I'm going to kind of just minimize this account. So that's the accounts demo, and I'm going to go to our approver demo here. Now, when we come into the approver demo account, you can see straight away that the approver has a task and there's a variance found. So that invoice has automatically been sent to the approver, and the approver has some details at the bottom so that they can fully understand what that variance is. So we can see that on line 2, the net is not equal, so the price per unit is not equal. So what this is telling us is that there is a price discrepancy of 10 pence on the price per unit for line 2. So line 2 on the invoice, the price per unit is £45.80. What this is saying is that the purchase order has been processed with a price per unit of £45.70. So it's gone to the approver asking for approval on that extra 10 pence. So I'm just going to select approved and just pop some notes in. So obviously, approvers will have different options, so they'll be able to decline, kind of set it for investigation. Maybe you'll want an option awaiting credit note. And what we do is when we actually design your system and do a scoping session, we'll discuss what different options you want your approver to have, because that can vary depending on the different businesses that we work with. So I'm just going to hit approve on this one. And then I'm going to come out of our approver demo. Now, if I come back into our accounts demo, we can see that this has now left our pending approval list, and we've now got 2 tasks. And we can see we've got 2 tasks ready for posting. So we've got the invoice that I approved, and you can see it's put a stamp on the invoice, approved, plus the extra bit that I put on the end just so that you could see that it was definitely a stamp I just put on during this demonstration. It's put the username, the date, and the time that it was approved, so you've got full auditability. And it comes through straight back to accounts for them to apply a post to SYSPRO decision because it's approved. And then we've got our other invoice that we stored that didn't go for approval. It's literally just been stored, it's gone through the Verto checks, and it's come straight back to the accounts team ready for posting. This means that there's a matching purchase order and a fully matching GRN. So it's the values are all correct, the receipted quantities are all matching, so the system's just happy for that to be posted straight away. So another thing we can do here, if we go to edit index entries, just so you can really see the type of details that Verto is pulling back, we have lots of extra tables now, and we can scroll across and we can actually see things like the GRN number. So Verto's actually gone into SYSPRO, it's automatically matched it with the relevant purchase order and GRN, and then it's pulled back these details into the system so that you're not having to tab in between DocuWare and SYSPRO. So I'm now going to post both of these to SYSPRO. So I literally just hit that button and that's it. That's all that the accounts team need to do. Now, if we go back to lists, we've got another one, posting to SYSPRO. So again, this is just a kind of a holding area, and it's just waiting for the system to pick up these invoices and post them into SYSPRO. So we can see here that the document status is posting. Once they've been picked up, that status will change to posted, and they will leave this list and move into posted. So whilst we kind of wait for Verto to post those, it should be in the next minute or so, I'm just going to show you really quickly the search functionality that we've got in DocuWare. So this is the search area. All of these fields that we've got here that you can search against, we can add these in. They can be whatever you want them to be. So if you needed to search against a specific field for your invoices, then it's something that we can put into the system. But a really, really useful tool that we have is something called full text search. So here's an example. So let's say that there has been an issue with an invoice with a certain supplier and a certain delivery, for example, and it was for postcode HU6. Now, when we stored the invoices, we didn't at any point store HU6 in the index data on the left-hand side, but the invoices did have HU6 on them. So I didn't store this data, but the full text search, what it does is it scans the entire document, whether it's been indexed or not, and will read it. And then this search will pull back any document and highlight it in red. So you can imagine that there's quite a few different scenarios where this can be really, really useful. We can see in this search, the last two documents that I stored have actually changed from posting to posted by Verto. So I'm now going to go to our lists, and we can see that they've left that list. So I'm going to minimize this screen, and I'm going to go into our SYSPRO screen. Now, if I refresh this screen, we can now see that for the Inerta demo, that invoice has been posted. If we go to query invoice and then go to GL distribution, we can see that it's automatically done the GL distribution for us. And I'm just going to go to the other supplier. So that's the Inerta demo. I'm now going to go to the Verto demo. There we go. And again, we can see the invoice at the bottom there. And again, if I go into query that, go to invoice. And GL distribution. You can see as well that's done the automatically done that. So anywhere where there's a fully matching GRN, the VertoSuite will automatically close down your GRNs as well. So I'm just going to close this down now, and I'm going to go back to our presentation. So you've seen the demonstration. I'm just going to talk a little bit more now about these different VertoSuite checks. I did cover some of them off in the demonstration, but just in case I've missed anything, so I mentioned it'll check for a purchase order, it'll check if the purchase order has been GRN'd. If the purchase order hadn't been GRN'd, then we wouldn't be able to post it, because we wouldn't want to post an invoice if the goods haven't been received. Are all of the items on the invoice on the purchase order? So these checks are all of the automatic checks that are going on in the background that the user's not having to manually do anymore. They're now automatically happening behind the scenes while you're just storing your invoices and working through those. So now let's have a look at our different case studies. So we've got a lot of different Nexus customers using this. Monlike is an example. So Monlike have been using this system for a few years now. They are processing 500 invoices per month, and they use the same product that you saw me demonstrate. And you can see on the right hand side that Amanda, the accounts payable controller, kind of gave us some feedback on what she thought of the system. So for Moonlike, this solution reduced their invoice processing time by 52% per week. And she said that it revolutionised their accounts payable system. Let's have a look at another one. So we saw Moonlike, they're processing 500. We also do the other end of the scale. So this solution it fits a range of different clients. So whether you're processing 500 invoices a month or 36,000 invoices per month, Bensons for Beds, they use this same product as well, and they are processing a much higher volume of invoices using this system. Now, as part of all of our projects at Anerta, we want to ensure that we're always improving. We're always looking at how we've done things previously and finding new, better ways to do them going forward. So to ensure that we've always got that continuous improvement, we do what we call 360 review meetings. So once a project has been finished, somebody who has had nothing to do with the project from Anerta will reach out to the customer and ask a range of different questions to understand what they thought of our scoping process, of our project delivery, and of the system. And on the right hand side, this is the feedback that we got from the 360 review at Bensons. They were very satisfied with the product, and they said that they would be happy to recommend us to others and happy to collaborate with us again in the future for additional projects. So that was some really lovely feedback off the back of that 360 review meeting. The next one that I'm going to share with you today, this is the last kind of case study I've got to share with you today, is actually with Nexus. So Nexus themselves, their accounts team internally actually use this product as well. And so I bumped into Nick McGrain, the MD, at the Nexus event in November. And I said, Nick, you know, we put this system in a few years ago now, and I never hear from you anymore. Is everything okay? Are you still using the system? You never log anything on help desk. And he said, and I quote, "We never have to contact the help desk because once it's in, it just works." So that, and I did actually say to Nick at the Nexus event last year, Nick, I'm going to quote you on that. And I reached out to him a few weeks ago and asked his permission to put it in the presentation that I'm showing you today. So these three customers, they use the system that I've just demonstrated to you. They've got their own personalised tweaks for different things that maybe are a bit quirky, or different scenarios where they might have a different approval matrix, or they might want to store delivery notes as well and do a four-way match. There's a few different things that we can add in to tailor it to your needs, but they're all kind of using a very similar system, and you can see the feedback that they've given has been very positive. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about what a project looks like at Anerta. So if off the back of this webinar you decide, great, I want that system, that's going to solve all of our problems, and you want to understand what a project would look like with us, now I'll talk you through that. So initial contact. So if you liked what you saw today, then you would reach out to your Nexus account manager and let them know that you're interested. They would then put you in touch with us, and we would arrange for project scoping to take place. So project scoping, we'd look at how you're currently processing your invoices, how you're currently getting them approved, and we'd really kind of like to understand how your business is operating in accounts payable, just to make sure that we don't miss anything, and we'd kind of design a system together for accounts payable that meets your business needs and streamlines and makes things more efficient for you. So we'd then drive out that scope of works document. We then do the system build. We then do an internal and an external UAT. So before you get any system from us, it will actually go through extensive testing by Anerta first, just to make sure that we're giving you the best possible product in the first instance. And then it will go over to your team for user acceptance testing. Now, it's also worth noting, Any minor configuration changes that you have during user acceptance testing are free of charge. We understand that sometimes when you put something into practice, sometimes it needs tweaking to get it to where you need to be. And so all minor configuration changes during all of our projects are free of charge because of that. And then you'd have your go live. So once you've signed off on your testing, we'd then set the system live and you're good to go. So I've talked about accounts payable. I've shown you a demonstration on what accounts payable could look like for you with DocuWare. I'm now actually kind of going to go on a bit of a tangent. So if you was to get DocuWare for accounts payable, when you get the DocuWare cloud, you don't just get access to an accounts payable system. I mentioned earlier on, DocuWare is a document management system. So with the DocuWare cloud, for no additional cost on modules, so there's no extra module cost, you can get all of this smart document control as well. So you get all of these features that I'm about to show you next. So it's not just a one-trick pony for processing your invoices. DocuWare can really help in that area and really streamline your accounts payable, but it can also be utilised anywhere in the business where you've got paper documents or electronic documents that you need to streamline, make easily accessible to people, that you need backups of, or maybe that you need archiving. So on the left-hand side, we've got how do documents come into DocuWare? So how do we capture the data and how do different documents come in? So you can have documents coming into DocuWare by scanning them into DocuWare. They can be emailed into DocuWare. You can even send them in from your phone using a mobile app. DocuWare accepts loads and loads of different formats, PDF, Excel, Word documents. You can have forms set up so that people can fill out DocuWare forms and that data automatically pulls into your DocuWare system. So this is how data is captured in DocuWare. And these are all of the different ways we can pull data and documents into DocuWare. You can also create, collaborate and store documents in DocuWare. So we can pull any pre-existing documents into DocuWare and create them in DocuWare. Next, once you've got your documents in, you can then index them. So like I showed you earlier today in the AP demo, when we index the invoices and it automatically pulled all of the relevant data off of the document. DocuWare can do that with any document in your business. So any document in your business where you need to store it and it needs to be stored in a secure, compliant location where you can workflow it, easily search for it and process it, or maybe it needs electronically signing, you can do that all in DocuWare for any of your documents, not just invoices. And as I mentioned before, so it's organised in a very, very secure location. So it's fully ISO certified. It's fully GDPR compliant, Azure hosted environment with a 256-bit encrypted. And if anybody would like any more information on the DocuWare security front, I do have a 27-page document that I can share with you. So just reach out to your Nexus account manager if you'd like any more information on that. And then next, so once your documents are in DocuWare, you're using DocuWare, you're kind of pulling all of your documents, not just your invoices into DocuWare, what can you do next? So you can process them, as I mentioned before. There's a free DocuWare mobile app where you can apply workflow decisions. So maybe an invoice needs approving, you can go onto your mobile phone and approve that. Or maybe there's other documents that you're using DocuWare for that you might want to process on your phone. You can do that. We've got full version history, so version control. So if you've amended a document that you've stored in DocuWare and you want to keep the previous versions and have a full audit trail of that, that's all covered in DocuWare. I mentioned before, you've got that searchability. So that full text search that I showed you earlier on in the demo, where it scanned the invoices, imagine if all of the documents that your business use came in through DocuWare and you could use that full text search for all of your documents. How easy, efficient and fast would it be for you to be able to locate documents just like that, just on the fly, super quickly? Next, we've got signatures. So I'm sure most of you will have encountered or heard of DocuSign before. That's something that we can add in as well. So if at any point you need electronic signatures on any of your documents in the business, that can all be added in through DocuWare. It can automatically be workflowed. And again, you can do it all, link it all up to your mobile phone. It's also worth noting, something I missed off earlier, the documents and being pulled in and collaborated on. DocuWare also offers a lot of functionality with integration with Teams. So if you want to collaborate on a document with somebody, you could do that over Teams using the Teams integration. It's also got integration with Outlook and lots of other products, so that it's just making it really, really efficient and easy for everybody to use, collaborate and share documents across the business. So to summarise what I've just said, you've got secure documents, flexible mobile access, productive collaboration, and automatic processes with DocuWare. So obviously we talked about ERP, but DocuWare, it's not just one solution. It's got many use cases. So accounting, incoming invoices, I've shown you how DocuWare can handle that, and I've given you some use cases and some examples of some of our customers that use that. Next, so HR. So we actually do a DocuWare system for Northern Rail, and they do all of their HR work in DocuWare. All the HR personnel files are in DocuWare for the whole of Northern Rail. We've got sales offer handling. So an example of this is, you may have seen on the first screen where I listed the customers on the right hand side, but we actually have Westway Nissan. They do all of their fleet leasing agreements in DocuWare. So all of their documents are bundled together and they're sent off for electronic signature through DocuWare. We've got work instructions, standard operating procedures. So an example of this is, we've got quite a few customers in the pharmaceuticals industry who will send who will process work orders within DocuWare. Legal contracts. So part of DocuWare with the electronic signatures, we can make those electronic signatures. We can enable two-factor authentication, which actually makes the signatures legally binding as well. So DocuWare can be used for that. And then administration. So as you can see, there's so many use cases for DocuWare. We'd recommend using it for your accounts payable to kind of really streamline and automate that. But once you've got DocuWare in for your accounts payable, there's the sky's your limit really. You can then make this system more cost effective by pushing it out to other areas within the business. And here's just some of the examples of how you can do that. So let's have a look at different challenges that you might encounter and how DocuWare solves them. So inflexible filing structures. So as you've seen in DocuWare, you get instant access to documents at any time with just one click. Got manual tasks and cumbersome processes. We've got digital workflows for approvals. So you saw in the accounts payable demo how it automatically went to that approver. Lack of transparency, compliance gaps, lost documents. So you've also got secure archiving. So if you're retaining your invoices for 7 years, and after 7 years you want the system to automatically archive the old invoices, we can do that so that you're not having to worry about any storage of those or having to manually kind of archive those. The system can automatically do that. So digitalization made easy. So I'll open the floor to questions now. So if you've got any questions, if you just type them and pop them in the chat, I'll just give you all a few minutes, then Kelly's going to have a read through those and fire some at me.
I've just given you all the ability to actually unmute your microphone and ask a question out loud, or alternatively, if you want to use the chat, you can do.
Fabulous, thank you, Kelly.
Okay, got one here. Does the system work for multi-currency?
Yes, so I didn't actually mention that in my accounts payable demonstration, but yes, what the system does is Verto will automatically reference the exchange rate set in SYSPRO, and so it can handle multi-currency and it can still do the three-way matching and the checks with invoices in different currencies or purchase orders different currencies.
Perfect. And sorry, I'm just trying to find them. What happens if I get invoices with multiple purchase orders and or nominal codes?
Okay, so if you have an invoice with multiple purchase orders associated to it, what you can do, when I showed you that line item data, you can actually break down the invoice so that you can store multiple purchase orders against each different line can have a different purchase order, and you can split that out. So even if you've got one invoice but multiple purchase orders or multiple nominals, you can specify those at a line level in DocuWare so that it still matches up automatically through Verto.
Stuff. Where a supplier may send multiple invoices in one PDF document, can you separate these invoices within DocuWare rather than having to manually do this prior to capturing the invoice?
Yes, so what I'm actually going to do, I'll just quickly come into our system just to show you really quickly how you can do that. So if I just pull the two documents in, now I'm just going to clip these together. So now, just wait for that to process. What that's doing is it's just reading the invoices, and there we go. So it's clipped them together. So that's now got multiple pages. So if you had an invoice that came in with multiple pages, or one invoice, multiple invoices came in as one PDF, they would come in like this, and you would simply just unclip those and it would automatically split them out like that. So you could literally press Control A, right click, unclip, and it would unclip them all for you.
Great stuff. Can approvers have budget limits?
Yes, so this is one that's been asked quite a lot recently, actually. So if you've got certain approvers that have certain limits that they can go to, so you might have approver 1, AP manager can approve discrepancies up to £50. Anything over that needs to go to the finance manager, and they can approve anything up to £500. Anything over that needs to go to the FD, and that's whatever that looks like. We can set that all up within the DocuWare approval matrix so that it's automatically filtering and going through to the right people depending on the budgets that they've got.
Cool. And last one, I think this is what about invoices with no purchase order?
Yes, so there would be, I didn't actually show that in my demonstration today, but you can still store invoices with no purchase order in DocuWare. We refer to these as sign-offs, and the only difference to what you saw today is because there'd be no purchase order to reference in SYSPRO, you would just use a select list to select the nominal code so that we knew where to post that to, but you could still absolutely use this system for invoices with no purchase order.
Great, thanks, Jade. Right, I think that is all for questions, unless anyone else wants to throw any more in. We will leave it there, but thank you for joining us, and thank you, Jade, for that great presentation. And obviously, if you've got any questions, let your account manager know, and we'll get the answers to you as soon as possible.
Thank you for taking the time to join, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.